So here is my riff on unconditional love. So, but first, let's define such a Western approach, like a logical left brain approach. Let's define it. Well, hey, class, let's first make sure we're on the same page. Anyway, okay, so yeah, let's first define. Let's first, well, let's yeah. But the irony is, those dumb teachers and professors, they're actually because you have to be on the same page. So by unconditional love, I mean Krishna consciousness, Christ consciousness, Buddha mind. I guess that state of mind. So it's really a state of mind. So only time in my life I felt that way was after sensory deprivation. I'm sure you can get that access from psychedelics, LSD, ayahuasca, DMT. After post session, you might feel that, or during that session, or NDE, near death experience. And that was the only time I felt it. And the second time, I mean, the only time I can distinctly remember was the first few times I used to smoke weed. It's like everyone was nice, everyone was kind, and like you're in a different state of mind, you're vibrating a different frequency. Even with right now, I don't have unconditional love, because it's a different state. It's almost like a Sat Chit Ananda feeling, where the Ananda is more magnified, but also the Sat and Chit. Like you think clearly, you're full of love, unconditional. You literally become like Jesus, or like Krishna, or like Buddha, or whatever. Well, the point that I'm trying to make is the whole reason. All I was just reading an article. It has been so westernized, like, and the spiritual has been so distilled and dumbed down for made cool. It's like, first of all, they talked about steps of which is so funny, like steps to be unconditional love, which is such a stupid dumb Western thing. And I'm not bashing Western, but I'm just mocking it, because it's like paranormal people, the skeptics who deny paranormal. Well, duh, by ipso facto, you have to believe, because the whole crux of it hinges on, is predicates on the fact that you have to believe it. That's why it's paranormal, because it's beyond normal. And obviously some people try to marry it, like Dean Radin and those guys, like Jeffrey Mishlove with science. And yeah, but that's fine. But it's like, it's catch 22. It's like, the only way you can blind man can see is by blind man can see. Ipso facto, like Quiney, snow is white because snow is white, self-reflexive. It's like fucking, the only way something is funny is if you experience it and you laugh. It's like you can't substitute one thing with another. But the unconditional concept of that, first of all, the article talked about self-love. That is such a bullshit boundary concept that people take all these cherry pick all these Eastern concepts. And yet again, you go to India, it's not like everyone is like, like fucking, like enlightened being who will greet you with like fucking malas, or like, um you go to China. I used to think that, mea culpa. I used to think that you go to China's land of Taoism, everyone is Taoist and enlightened saying. Okay, so the point that I was trying to make is, people cherry pick all these concepts from different religion, and they apply to their in an American or European or Australian context, which is obviously dilutes it. First of all, the whole, and they talked about, oh, don't, you cannot, unconditional love doesn't exist if you're in a toxic relationship, if you're someone, oh duh. But that's not the point of unconditional. The whole point of unconditional, by definition, ipso facto, by virtue of it, unconditional love means unconditional love. So that's why very 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 few people can actually go reach that state and can actually sustain it. I guess Jesus did it. I guess some saints and seers did it. But it's like you have to be enlightened avatar, like, or the Buddha, Arahat. That's what the Buddhists call. Yeah, and the whole point is, only way unconditional love can be there is like if you don't have an ego. But the moment we say, oh, unconditional love exists everywhere, but except that is a condition. It's like you're taking, obviously you're not exactly in that state of mind to talk about unconditional love, but here you're writing articles and giving blogs. People are missing the point. If you are in really an unconditional love, you don't feel the need to whip out a camera and make a video about it. But right now, I'm not in unconditional love. But I got a glimpse of it, and and I'm just spouting what I believe to be the defect or flaw, is a fatal flaw, because ego can be surreptitious. Ego comes, oh, poor little boy, I'm so miserable. That's ego. If you're condescending, someone patronizing, that's ego. Fake love, that's ego. Fake gratitude, that's still ego. Fake gratitude, fake positivity, ego. Some people give gratitude, but living in fear all the time. It's like lest you don't give gratitude, universe will smite. Universe, God will smite, because there is a God anymore. Universe will smite you thee, and blah blah, bullshit. So only way unconditional love can exist is there's not a single grain of ego inside you. But most people are not, and you cannot. Alan Watts said you need some impurities to ground you, because that's why Nisargadatta Maharaj smoked, and some people have had a temper, because if you lived in that state, you'll be so overwhelmed by beauty and rapture and joy and epiphany and everything. You'll be psychotic. So we need some of these impurities to hold us down, and we need some ego. But unconscious, and that it's almost like peak state, the Everest. You cannot stay there for a long time, and it's okay. And it's okay if you don't stay there. However, the one good thing that article pointed out was like, give unconditional love to some people who you think you don't even deserve it, and that's a good way to practice it. So the article got that right. I mean, so yeah, that's like one of my problems. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm sure everyone else, because we still think duality, because the whole point of being a Jesus conscious, Jesus loved everyone, prostitutes, fucking sinners, saints. I mean, who betrayed him, and I guess I didn't read the Bible back to back, but I guess he even could empathize with the murderers, and that's what unconditional love means. Fucking every single being in the universe, and that's when you realize every single, it's like a puzzle, or like a role, or if this whole universe was an assemble puzzle, like a 3D construction puzzle, everything has its own role and fix, and you realize for that, and you send love to everyone, and that's what really is. Because but the moment you have, so what happens in that state, I guess what I can recall is everyone is friendly, but you're not fake either. You're not sitting in some fucking concert hall with some blanket around your head and giving, and with a fucking statue behind you. Yeah, I'm sure you can be genuinely have unconditional love and be in that state. But but unconditional love also, that's why I prefer the term Satchidananda more, is because it's also a Sat. I mean, you're authentic, you're honest, like, yeah, I'm gonna give unconditional love to everyone, but if someone is fucking beating up my family, obviously I'm gonna fucking stand up for it. But when you have that context in mind, you don't resort to violence or anything. You resort to middle way, like a creative solution. With a creative solution, universe always takes the least efficient solution. The super consciousness, super intelligence always takes the least effort of least resistance. That's a Taoist concept. It's like a super algorithm. The universe, if you believe in Matrix, and like so what do you call that? Time is running out. That's, I have to speak fast. Um, Simulation thesis. It's like universe is always acts in the most efficient way possible. So yeah, um it's like a super algorithm that takes the most efficient route with the least expenditure. So yeah, so you find that there's creative in everything. There's in conflict resolution, like Ajahn Brahm talked about two girls who are debating if one wanted uh uh like they're debating which part they should eat, the the skin of the orange mandarin or the flesh. So finally they compromise and they cut in half, and then after that, I guess I'm butchering it horribly, and then after that, what one girl say, hey, we don't even have to cut in half, we can just peel it, and you can take the peel the skin for marmalade, and the flesh for, and I can take the flesh for juice. So there's always a creative solution, but that only comes from a moment of clarity where there is no absolutely no ego. But we cannot live in the state where there's absolutely no ego. And the moment ego creeps in, and ego can be so surreptitious, and it presents in the form of devil, really. That's why you have so much spiritual marketplace who profiting of this niche market, and there's this. You remember the story of the abusing human empathy and compassion. So devil can be insidious, and they prey on human weakness and kindness, and empathy. But anyway, at the point being, unconditional love is even if you know someone is asshole like Hitler or Bin Laden, the worst of the worst, or you still accept him for who you are. There's some people in your life who you can never forget, no matter how narcissistic or how devil or whatever he is, you still accept them for who they are. That's the real unconditional